Recording in progress.
What up, family? What's good? I'm your boy Trey Frazier. I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome to another episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Special shout out to all of our Facebook Live viewers right now. Make sure y'all click that like button on the Facebook page. Also, you can follow us on our Instagram account at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2 and on the YouTube channel as well. Hey, man, welcome to the couch, brother.
Hey, man. 1 week less, 1 week more or later than y'all were. And you know what? Hey, man. It's still to the Hall of Fame right now, bruh.
Yeah, good riddance to that guy.
Hey, man. Look, I agree with you. But at the same time, I'm not gonna show that disrespect. I know you tired of him whipping y'all ass for the past 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So
was it really an ass whooping? Was it really an ass whooping?
That's what. In my story, it's an ass whooping.
Nah, no, I wouldn't call it that. We just lost the game to y'all. We lost 4 games. We lost 4 games to y'all
in a
by like
row.
8 points. So
in a row.
Yeah, I don't like that. That part I don't like.
And all intents and purposes, even though y'all had to have some things happen for y'all to get in, we took care of the first part for y'all. So that always brings me joy on a week 18.
Well, let's not go back to week 18, man. We kind of passed that, right? This is wild card weekend. I've been on the couch. My team been on the couch, but it's all good. Number 8 gonna come back and he gonna wreak havoc on the whole NFL next year, so it's all good, man. It's all good. But you know what? See. You know what else? You know what else made me like proud over the weekend? Watching Bill Belichick's face on the sideline, watching his team getting smashed by the Bills. Like that was just great, man.
That was a good ass whipping, man.
Oh yeah,
that was a good ass whipping.
That's the worst. That's the worst of his career, I think.
Maybe. So, do you think, like you said, it's the worst ass whipping of his career, probably? I'm gonna say yeah, irregardless of if it ain't score wise. Mm-hmm. This was a good, thorough. We ain't seen nothing like this.
We ain't seen the punter.
We've been watching for.
We ain't seen Buffalo's punter.
Yeah,
that's everything you need to know.
I don't give a damn if by score this wasn't the worst loss they had, worst playoff loss they had.
Yeah.
By eye test, this was definitely the worst playoff loss they had. Is this the end, man? Is this I guess it's clear. Right?
It's the end of the dynasty for certain.
Yeah.
But I was tweeting during the game and I said, yo, an ass whooping like this probably want to make him just retire, like, right then and there. Like, yo, I can't do this. I can't.
He already solidified, right?
Yeah. I can't do this no more. I can't coach these guys. Like, we got no shot. Like, look at the conference right now. We got young guns taking over the AFC, and he's got Mac Jones. Like,
I mean, Mac Jones is a young gun now, and we're not going to sit here, like, let's be clear. He's not there yet, Mac Jones.
No.
He's not there yet.
Not at all.
But to sit here and act like we don't see the upside in his game, that's been a little unfair, right?
There's definitely a ceiling for Mac Jones. If we want to put it that way, where this
I don't think there's ever going to be a time where he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. That's.
I was just about to say, because I don't even think. I mean, he's definitely not top 5 in the AFC. I mean, he probably might not even be top 7, top 8 in the AFC for real. So.
I guess what I'm getting at. I guess what I'm getting at is that with a team constructed around him, he could be good. Now, you know what I'm saying? He could be up there with the Jimmy Garoppolos, that
Yeah.
ilk. You know what I'm
The
saying?
Cousins, the
And
Kirk Cousinses of the
yeah, so
world.
you get that type of quarterback with with the proper team around them, and I ain't talking about dynasty. I'm just talking about them being con- a contender team.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah,
Like
I
I
feel you.
guess what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying at the end of the day is that you know, we don't have a opinion on. We don't know if he's a franchise quarterback yet. We don't know that.
No, no, we don't know that yet. I think what we know
Yeah,
right now is that if you put a team around
it's
him,
Buffalo's time.
he can be successful. But you know, we
It's Buffalo's
saw
time right now.
we saw on Saturday night what that was all about. So yeah, Mac Jones he's got a long way to go, and it's Buffalo's time to make a statement. 47 points, 7 drives, 7 touchdowns. That was Josh Allen's best game of his career.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so they get to move on, and let's go back to your game, Chiefs and Steelers, and I think we all knew what it was. I know you had some hope, and I know the first touchdown by T.J. Watt had you a little excited for a minute. 7-0 lead, but
Man, can I just be honest with you, man? I missed the majority of that game, bruh.
in the beginning, or
No, I missed the majority of the game. Period.
uh
By the time I got to really sit down and watch the game,
huh,
it was already a wrap. Like I think it would had to been like 42-14. I think what I'm saying. Like we was already blown out. Like I was
yeah,
trying to keep. I was working in short. I was trying to keep. Keep checking in. You know what I'm saying. The phone service was spotty everywhere I was working at. Like it.
yeah,
I didn't see much of it. I did see. I mean, at one point we were up in the the second quarter. I
yeah.
know that. I know that. They changed that very quickly in that same second quarter. Hey man, like I said, going into it, man, we weren't supposed to be there. We weren't supposed to be there. So the fact that we had an opportunity to play in the playoffs, um, I'm cool. I'm content. I'm
Yeah.
content.
You
What I
sure
had
you
liked
sure
to
you
win,
wasn't
of
running from
course.
the game, man? You sure you wasn't running from the game?
Nah, man. I was ready to play. I was ready. I was at work like, bruh, y'all are really fucking me up right now. Like I was at work mad, like y'all really
Yeah.
fucking me up right now because my team is on and everybody else got to see their damn teams play their games and I had to be the one out working
Yeah.
because of the weather.
Yeah.
And I was really in that truck cussing.
Well, you'd have been cussing a lot more, second half going
Nah,
into the third quarter
I
of
would
that
have much.
game.
I'd have much rather watch that than be outside. Look,
Of
man. Like I said,
course.
I don't think we had. All you could do was go out there and see what happened, and I didn't even get to really see what happened. So that I was a
Yeah,
little
it was
irritated
an
by that.
ass whooping. It was an ass whooping.
I mean, clearly. I mean, clearly. I mean, you see the score and
But
it was an ass
yeah,
whipping, but
but those first the first quarter kind of gave some Pittsburgh fans
yeah,
some hope
yeah.
because defense showed up on both sides. Not Mahomes, but the running back fumbled, and T.J. Watt scooped it up for the touchdown that put it up 7-0. So you thought, okay, maybe defense could hold up. Maybe the offense could catch up, and offensively, I just couldn't hold up. You had a couple more drop
Much of the season,
passes. Yeah, a few
much
more
of the
drop
season.
passes and overthrows and just guys just not being on the same page and all that. So
Yeah,
so
if I have a criticism, a main criticism, and it's really these criticisms really got something to do with the future. Deontay Johnson, man, and Claypool. I can't even say because apparently Claypool don't know how to high point a jump ball. Deontay Johnson had too many drops. It's hard for me to put The offensive line, we always, been saying that all year.
Yeah.
It's really hard to put a lot of this on Najee Harris because you know, and more than that, it's just Ben's time to go, man. It just is what it is. We know it's. I hate that I gotta keep saying the same thing, but we gotta fix some stuff. We gotta fix some stuff, and it was the problem from the beginning of the year, and it's still the problem at the end of the year. So we got some cap space this year to fix some things, and I look forward to those things being fixed.
And I'll say it once
I'm
more
cool
time.
on Matt Canada.
And your DC supposed to retire too, right? From what I heard.
It's still rumors. It's still rumors that he's supposed to retire. Nothing's been said yet. And then, like I said, I'm good on Matt Canada. I get that he had his own ailments to try to deal with, but his play calling still, even in the midst of some of the handicaps he had, I'm cool on Matt Canada for this. We can go find another offensive coordinator too.
Welcome to the couch again, brother. It's only gonna get crowded. It's only gonna get more crowded on the couch. So, shout out to Mocha Bella in the Facebook Live chat. She said, "Maestro, I see your Steelers sitting on the couch with the rest of our teams." Facts.
Hey man, well let me say this to all of you teams who are talking shit that didn't even make the playoffs. You know what? I think we on a different couch than y'all. Is that fair to say?
A different couch? No.
I think we're I think we're on a different couch. Y'all didn't even make the playoff couch. Y'all on a regular season couch, and we on a playoff couch. I think they're two different couches.
I didn't know there were two couches. I thought there was just one couch.
You're
creating another couch.
Yes, that was my first question. I think there is two couches. There is something to be said. Regardless of how it happened, there's something to be said about a team that made the playoffs and a team that didn't.
So who's left in the playoffs? My team is not there, and right now, your team is not there either, and neither is Mocha Bella's team not there.
Yeah, but y'all were not invited to this party is my point.
Okay, but right now, none of us are at the party right now.
Yeah, but y'all weren't invited. It's one thing for me to be at the party and get sat down at the party, as opposed to not even being invited to the party. I think they're two different couches. That's how I'm rolling.
And then the bouncer came in and just threw y'all out the playoffs.
Sure, but we were invited first.
So, look,
there's something to be said for that.
Look, man. Look, we all gonna gather around. We gonna watch the divisional round together. So
we gonna watch it at a different couch. We're not gonna watch it with y'all. We're gonna watch it on a different couch.
Okay, you want a whole separate couch by yourself.
We on the playoff. We on the playoff couch. Y'all on the regular season couch.
Okay, all right. Call it how you see it, brother. If that's what makes you feel better. If it makes you feel better, brother.
Is that not a fact? Is that not a fact? So we saying that's not facts. We saying there's not a difference between teams. No, we're saying that there's not a difference between teams who were in the playoffs and teams that were not invited to the playoffs.
Yeah, we missed the playoffs. Right. Y'all got in.
So we should be on a different couch.
But on January 18th, 2022, both of our teams is sitting home and not in the tournament.
Sure. Facts.
So,
but on different couches.
Okay.
I'm convinced.
I'll take the nice couch. You can have the pissy mattress with the plastic on it.
There's no way that's possible because the playoff couch is not pissy. The playoff couch is not pissy.
That 7 seed is dreaded though. That 7 seed spot that was a dreaded spot for both conferences.
So you're implying that you would get a better couch even though you didn't make the playoffs?
Look, man, I'm
just asking the questions.
Just like you creating your own couch, your separate playoff couch, I'm gonna create mine. Mine's a little more stylish. Mine's a little more, upright.
How? Y'all lost 6 in a row.
Mine's a little more upright though.
But how if y'all lost 6 games in a row to miss the playoffs?
It is what it is, bruh. But I ain't gonna.
No. I'm asking a question. You're not answering my question. How do y'all get a nice couch and y'all didn't make the playoffs and y'all was on a 6-game losing streak
because it's like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're allowed to make your narratives, but
It's like that, brother.
Hey.
I'm just
Well,
saying.
I'm saying my couch is better than your couch, regardless of how. And you can't be hating from the outside of the club. In the words of Chris Brown, you can't get in.
I couldn't get in, and I continue
so you
to
can't hate from the outside of the
club. I'm
club.
owning that. Hey, I'm owning it, bro. I was outside in the line. I couldn't get in the club, bro. I tried to go through, and the bouncer said no. I can't get in.
Hey, man, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it hit different when you in the club. I'm just saying it hit different when you in the club.
All right. Well, when that bouncer show up and he say it's time for you to go, it was
no
time
doubt
for
about
y'all.
that.
It was time
no
for
doubt
y'all
about that.
5 other teams to go.
No doubt about that.
And I tell Microwave the same thing. It was time for your team to get up out of there.
Hey, me and the Microwave had better couches. We was in the club.
Yeah, I was in the club.
We got to take the selfies in the club like these youngins be doing now. Y'all ain't get to do that.
Mocha Bella's in the Facebook live chat. There's only one couch. Stop it, Maestro. Hey, let that man dream. Let him dream, Mocha. Let him dream, bro. But and at the end of the day, right now, moving forward, we home, bro. We in the living room on the couch, and we gonna be watching Dr. Dre and Kendrick Lamar and Mary J. Blige and Eminem. And Snoop Dogg. We gonna be watching them at the halftime show with the Super Bowl.
Hey, man, that is a fact. But we definitely gonna have a different couch. We're not sitting with the Ravens or the Dolphins.
All right. So you gonna put the Cowboys on a different couch? Can we
Cowboys on a different couch. Cowboys on a different couch.
Can we do that?
They on the couch with Pittsburgh. They're on the couch with Pittsburgh.
Ooh, I don't know, bro. I tell you what,
they're on the couch with Pittsburgh. I think
for this segment, I think the Cowboys need their own special couch because, that team was expected to be Super Bowl bound, right? Like everybody was talking about the Super Bowl with the Cowboys, right?
I was for certain. Now they weren't my pick, but I definitely felt like they had the roster that should have, that could have done it this year.
Yeah, going out in the first round, like that's a no.
I mean, but is it for the I'm speaking specifically for the Cowboys because somebody had to go. For the Cowboys, when you think about the teams that were in the playoffs this year, while we thought they had the roster that could make the Super Bowl, it's just more of the same for the Cowboys. You get what I'm saying? So
same old. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like. Mm-hmm. So it's like while we thought they had a roster, I don't think this is the first time we thought they had a Super Bowl caliber roster. I think this is the first time in a minute, maybe.
2-3 years. Yeah, I'll say about 2-3 years.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been that.
Yeah. So this is just more of the same for the Cowboys. I don't want to. While I thought that they had the opportunity to make it, I don't necessarily know that this is like something like we are so devastated that they are so surprised rather that they didn't make the Super Bowl. That we're not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised, but certainly I think in some cases surprised that they bowed out this early, even though when we found out that they drew the 49ers in the first round matchup, that some people said, whoa, I don't think these boys want to smoke with the 49ers. I think there were a lot of folks that said that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we said it last week that this would be the more exciting game, even though it was second to the Bengals game. But we thought that this would be a good game.
Yep.
I think me and you both agree that Dallas would pull it out. But apparently we did not account for Deebo Samuels at running back.
Well, I accounted for it. I just thought that the offense for Dallas was going to show up. I mean, they're the number 2 offense in the league, and you only put up 17 points at home. That's not going to get it. That's not going to get it against the 49ers. I mean, they've won 5 out of their last 6, I think, just to kind of close the season out and stay hot, get into the playoffs. And if you're Dallas, you knew that you had a hot team coming in.
it's important to mention though, Trey.
Yep.
That 5 out of 6 teams were majority of them was the East, if I'm not mistaken, and the East and bad teams. Then the loss was
They
to
beat the Rams. They beat the Rams to get in.
They did beat the Rams.
Yep.
They did. Yeah.
That's a quality win.
I don't know, man.
That
is a quality win.
Yeah. And I don't pretend to know the other games that, because they did. I think I remember them playing the Falcons down the stretch. So yes, if you're San Francisco, you're expected to beat the Falcons. So I'm not.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Cowboys, not the.
Oh! My bad. I thought you.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Cowboys. Yeah, the Cowboys.
Yes.
Rank.
Yeah, if you're talking about what the Cowboys' schedule was, yes. The Giants were terrible. The Washington football team was terrible. Philadelphia, while they improved, they still beat Philadelphia twice. And then you had some other, teams on the schedule that, you were able to, get up out of there.
It was the East, basically.
It was the East,
basically.
It was the East, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I found myself tweeting some of the stuff on Sunday, watching the game. So there were 2 instances where I had to talk about the stadium, right? So there was a pass that Dak threw in the middle of the field, and the receiver just missed it, right? And someone alluded to, the sun is shining too hard through the stadium. And so someone tweeted a picture of the stadium, or the end zone side of the stadium, and it showed the sun just kind of shining right through the field. And then the other instance was where the punter punted the ball and it hit the Jumbotron. It hit the bottom of the Jumbotron. And,
forgive me for not caring.
And no, sure. It has nothing. It has nothing to do with the game. It's just all. It's just all fun. It's just all for pointing at the fact that Jerry Jones, continues, to put a team out there to be in charge, and it's just the narrative of the Cowboys that kind of like what Stephen A. says. What can go wrong, will go wrong with this franchise.
Well, I'm saying I don't care because these were both Dallas things that happened to the Cowboys, correct?
Yes, they were.
So these are both. So with them being the home team, these are things that they know can happen. They know that a punter can hit the jumbotron. The jumbotron. They know where the sun is shining in because they play in the stadium.
They built it
8 times.
He built it.
Yeah, forgive me for not caring. Forgive me.
He built it.
That's your damn problem. I don't care about that.
Yeah, I don't care either. But I just thought I'd point it out because I think, like Boomer said on the halftime show, who the hell builds a stadium in the direction of east to west? The sun rises in the east, it sets in the west. Like, why would you set yourself up like that? So. It just
I guess when you're talking about that kind of money, I guess if you're thinking about that kind of money, those types of factors should be factored in. I guess I can't disagree with that. I would say my small mind could never comprehend if I had to build a stadium. Let me build it north and south to avoid the sun. I would never think no shit like that. So
that's why you got architects, brother.
That's a fact.
And I tell you what,
architect.
Would it surprise me if Jerry Jones was his own architect? Hell no, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right, so allow me to ask you a question that's been going on in my workplace. So, this is the conversation of football team fans this Monday. Dak is not the answer in Dallas. Your take?
This is from Washington football team fans.
Yes, this is from Washington football team fans. Dak is not the answer.
I don't find them credible.
I get his bias.
I don't find Washington football team fans credible if any one of them came out and said that.
No, it's been said. It's been the narrative going on, especially coming after this loss. It's been the narrative for
Hmm.
maybe mid-season that
Yeah.
he's not the answer, and even more than that, that he has seen his ceiling. Like he's never going to be better than where he is right now.
Washington football team fans would take Dak Prescott on their team in a heartbeat. And they know it.
Hmm.
Given the crap that they've had at quarterback over the last 20 years, like, yeah, they would take Dak Prescott in a heartbeat.
They also tend to believe that there is hope for them to get Deshaun Watson in the off season. That was the other conversation that was going on.
Need to get their mess together.
Yeah.
Need to
Hey,
get that house in order first.
what's how much validity do you give to the statement if Deshaun Watson comes to the football team with the new, the name change, jersey change, all those things, and starts winning, that we are going to forget about all the nasty things this team has done in the past
I'm not. I'm
five,
not.
6, 7 years?
I'm not. I don't know about the
Okay.
fans. I don't know about the majority of people, but I ain't gonna forget that. They still messy. They always gonna be messy, and they not gonna name the team the Red Tails because that's my preference for the name. So whatever they
So,
come up with on February 2nd, I'm gonna slime it. I'm gonna smash it. So so
did you
no.
watch the game on Nickelodeon?
I flip back and forth. I flip back and forth, and I'll say the same thing I said last year when they first started doing it. The fact that those young kids get an opportunity to do a game like that, and for that young kid to be on the sideline. And by the way, that kid's from Annapolis, Maryland, young Dylan, right there. So
Hmm.
shout out to him.
Hmm.
The fact that those young kids are able to be in that position to do that, I think is pretty dope for them. Other than that, I got no
I agree with
comments.
that. I agree with the kids getting opportunities to do all that. Me as the almost 40-year-old man, I don't care to see it. And again, my argument is the same.
Hmm.
I get why they're doing it. I'm not
Hmm.
even against it. I don't want to see it.
It works for them. I'll say that too.
Sure, sure. And I
Hmm.
get that it works for kids. I get that it will work for kids. I understand all of those points.
Hmm.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah, yeah. I feel you on that.
But
I don't
yeah,
care. I should say I don't really care for it all that
I
much.
don't want
But
to see it.
the majority of the
And
time,
it,
I was watching Nance and Romo's version
yeah,
of the game for the most
yeah,
part. So,
yeah. I don't want to see
um,
that. I don't
hey,
want to see it.
how much how much did you take into Troy Aikman expressing his feelings for him wanting to call the Cowboys 49ers game versus the game that he was calling the Tampa and the Philly game? I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't, but I mean, I noticed that it became a CBS versus Fox conversation, and uh, that it has been happening where a lot of those NFC games have been all of a sudden going to CBS for some reason.
Yep.
Um, Look, I mean, of course, Troy Aikman would want to call that game. Did Romo call the CBS game?
Yes, he did.
I mean, the Cowboys game? Yeah,
Yes.
well,
Yeah, he
yeah.
did.
Well,
He
hey.
did.
Um, do
Hmm.
you see? Do you see the possible conspiracy theory that maybe they're more interested in one Dallas quarterback calling that game over another?
I don't see it in that, but I do think when Aikman said that, I thought a couple of things. Number one, I thought he was taking a shot at CBS, the other network. Number one, because yes,
Or
when
Tony
you
Romo?
no, not Tony Romo,
Okay.
the network themselves, because again, the network got to call the game. In addition to Tony Romo, the network had somehow got rights to call an all NFC playoff game. I don't buy that. They wanted one cowboy, one former cowboy quarterback over another. But I did think that he was taking shots at the network. Number two, it does bring to light for me that for some time now, they have been in, and it's been in the regular season too, that they've been giving
Mhm.
CBS these all NFC conference games, and I have I have a theory about that. So, and I want to hear what you have to think about this. So, CBS has basically the AFC package, right? So for so many years it was Brady and Manning, right? Like and that brought ratings and stuff, right? Like big time ratings, whether it was regular season, they always faced each other. Every year it seemed like because they was always in first place the previous year, and then even the playoff games, they was always, you know, facing off against each other, their teams and all that. Um, I get the sense that since Peyton Manning left the game, and now that Brady's in the other conference, I think CBS kind of was knocking on the door to NFL and saying, "Hey, our ratings aren't as good as we would have liked to. We need some NFC games." And kind of look at it from this perspective too. When you think about the NFC, you think about Chicago, New York, LA, Atlanta, DC, Philly. All of those are like big markets, right? Those are like top 10 markets where you got a majority of those top 10 markets just in that one conference. And Fox benefits from that. As a network, they kind of benefit from that because of the amount of people in each of those areas that get to watch the game on the network. Whereas CBS, you get the Kansas Cities, the Cincinnatis, the Baltimores, you get the Buffaloes, you get those kind of smaller market cities, those smaller areas where you don't maybe get the numbers as much as you would with the other teams. So I think CBS looked at that and they said, hold on, we got to get some NFC games. We got to get some of those, we got to get some of those Dallas games, right? And I forgot to mention Dallas, in the midst of, mentioning those other cities, but we got to get some of those games. We got to get some of those big market games. So I think, and someone mentioned it on the radio the other day that CBS actually paid the NFL just so that they can get an NFC wildcard game every year. I think it was like $70 million, just so that they could get one NFC game per playoff season.
To answer your question, uh, one, do you think that Indianapolis is a big football town market? As far as market wise, like you talked about Dallas, you talked about Washington, New
Mm-hmm.
York. Do you put Indianapolis in that conversation as far as foot market?
No,
Okay.
no.
I see the relevance in the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean at the same time, the AFC has Pat Mahomes, who's considered the best right now. They got Josh Allen, who's if not is about to be considered,
Yep.
right next to him. Lamar Jackson, with while he may not be rated that way, is brings that kind of excitement
Yes.
to
Yep.
any game he plays.
Yep.
Um, I guess the question, the answer to answer your question, I would like to answer your question with a question.
Yep.
Who has the better quarterbacks, the AFC or the NFC?
Who has the better quarterbacks? I think the AFC right now has better quarterbacks, even with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. When he's playing, um, and well, Drew Brees is not there no more, so I can't count him. But I think when you look at it right now, I think the AFC has better quarterbacks, and I think just to answer it further, I think in a few more years, if those quarterbacks continue to be on the rise like they are now, I think CBS and those ratings, I think those ratings will get to the point where it once
That,
was when Brady and Manning was dominating the league
and
for the
that's
last
what
20
I was
years.
that's what I was getting. That's what I was kind of leading to. I don't think that's the reason. But what I will say is specifically with the playoffs, and I know, like you said, they have taken NFC games away from Fox, but specifically with the playoffs, Nickelodeon is getting games, and I get in conjunction with the non-cable channels, but
Yep.
with it's so flexible now. So it's
Yes.
like
Hmm.
NBC gets a night game now. Now they're playing on Monday nights, and that
Yeah.
Monday night game is
ESPN.
on
Yep.
ABC. Is on
Yep.
ABC as a non-cable channel. So now
Right.
you telling me that ABC gets in because ABC wasn't getting into this fold for years. ABC wasn't getting NFL games. Now all of a sudden
All of
they
a
can
sudden they're
slide in
getting right.
they getting football games. So I think what CBS is doing is like, oh well, if it's open like that, well let me go ahead and get something in there. So if they paid to get that 49ers game,
Hmm.
um, specifically, that's
Right.
smart because on paper
Yeah.
that looks like that was going to be the more exciting game.
Right.
The more
And I don't
exciting
have a
game.
problem with
Yeah.
CBS doing that. To pay for that game, I don't
Neither
have a
do I.
problem
Neither
with
do I.
that at
Neither do
all.
I.
Now,
I would
now if
say
I'm
I would.
Fox,
Hmm.
and I see that, would I have an issue with it working for Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would certainly
Sure.
have an issue because if
Yeah.
you're
One hundred
Fox,
percent.
I would rather have Niners Cowboys versus Bucks Eagles if I'm Fox.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I understand it on
Yeah.
both sides. I truly do
Yeah.
get it.
I don't necessarily think that. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that I don't know that it has anything to do with ratings because of the Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, leaving the AFC. I think it has more to do with the flexibility of what's going on, where games can kind of go anywhere now, and it's clear that they're
Right,
allowing games. I mean,
right.
even now, Prime Video shows games now, and like
Hmm.
streaming services exclusively showing games now. So
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
Paramount Plus.
yeah, it's wide open now. It's wide open now. So it's like, all right, well, if it's
Hmm.
wide open, if it's up, then it's up. Let me go.
Hmm.
Let me go see what I could do
Right,
to bring ratings to my
right,
channel because now I'm in competition with more channels.
right, right. Yeah, I could kind of see that point too. I think with the and they've been and again this has been happening for feels like 3 years now, where CBS has been getting those games. ABC, which basically is an ESPN simulcast. It's not like
Yeah,
ABC
right.
has its own sports network thing. It's basically ESPN simulcast on ABC network. So ESPN kind of makes that call. I don't know if the NFL makes that call. I
Well,
think ESPN
well,
does that.
but I more so say that to say because clearly because if that were the case,
Hmm.
I mean, and I'm not saying that it's not the case. I'm saying that ESPN could easily just put every simulcast every Monday Night
Monday
Football
Night Football. Yep.
should
Like
be
it
on
was back in the
ABC if that's
day.
the case. Yeah, it should be on ABC, but for whatever reason, ESPN, like I know they own ABC or
It's
however it
contractual.
works.
It's
Right,
contractual.
but why? That makes perfect sense if you want ratings. I mean, let's be
Of
clear on why
course.
Monday Night Football ratings
Uh,
are down. It's down because it's not on fucking common cable.
That's part. Well, that's part of it, and I think
Part
the
of
other
it,
part,
sure.
and the other part of it too is their games suck. Like that's not the. It's not the prime night
Well,
anymore.
we watch plenty of trash games in the 1 a.m. and the 1 p.m. slot, and in the 4 p.m. slot, and in some instances the 8 p.m. slot. So
But I'm talking.
I'm
But I'm
not
talking
gonna.
specifically like a national broadcast. I'm not talking about like a regional broadcast. I'm talking specifically a night game where the majority of Monday night games for the last it seemed like 10, 15 years has been crap for the most part.
But
Now
that's
you're
but
right.
that's a scheduling,
It's a
and that's a
schedule.
scheduling thing.
That's part of the scheduling thing, yeah. And in some cases, you kind of have to hit, when those games, get down to it. Now, I think with the NBC thing, with the Sunday night joint, I think because of the whole flex scheduling thing, they got the ability to. I think it's like week 10, week 11, or something like that. If they think that Sunday night game's going to be a dog game, then they got the opportunity to say, hey, we could take a Fox game or we could take a CBS game from earlier in the day and just put it on our Sunday night platform and they'll be good to go. So,
But even that's not really relevant until December.
so yeah, early, mid November ish, early
Yeah,
December, something
yeah.
like that.
So
But
yeah, so Yeah, I mean, I don't want to stretch the conversation much longer, but I think that's just what it is for me. I think it is. I think it's the opportunity that it's the opportunity for contracts to be amended that
Hmm.
allows CBS to do something like that, and for
Yeah.
Troy Aikman to be in his feelings about it.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you on that. I just think that I think when you hear this stuff on radio and people tell you, oh, you know, they paid to get this game, but they don't never tell you why, right? So I'm just in the mindset of, okay, we know that you paid to get this game when normally that's not a game you would have, but I just want to know why. Like, why all of a
Mm.
sudden are you guys
You
getting
never
these
know.
games? You know,
You'd never
so
know.
yeah.
You'll
So
never know.
like you said, it's just all over the place now. Any game is up
Yeah.
for grabs on any network at this point.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let me say what up to Andre Elam in the Facebook live chat. Appreciate it,
What's
man. He
happening?
says, in regard to the conversation we just had, he was just saying they're bringing in revenue, referring to the networks. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's big facts. You know.
Did we talk all the wild card games?
No. You want to talk about the Bengals and Raiders?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I know we gotta say we gotta mention the blowouts, but I think we mentioned all the blowouts.
No, because we didn't get into that last night game. We definitely didn't talk about that one.
Yeah, it was an ass whooping. It was an
Yeah,
ass whooping, and I didn't see Arizona getting out the first round anyway. So there you go.
yeah. I mean, you called it. Like I said, I prefaced my picks last week by saying I was making emotional picks. So, I picked the Cardinals, but I wasn't feeling too confident about it. So, congrats to Matt Stafford and Odell Beckham on getting their first playoff win. So
Okay,
now,
I got another question. I got
go
another
ahead.
question as far. I got another office talk question.
Hmm.
Um, it was mentioned in my office that Matthew Stafford has had to win this has to make it to the Super Bowl this year,
Hmm.
or his season or his career is cursed. Your thoughts?
I don't think his career's cursed, but I do agree that if you're the Rams and you went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff and you go get Matthew Stafford, then yeah, you have to go to the Super Bowl. You definitely have.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not this year, then you got to get there in the next 2 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I agree.
yeah.
I
He's
agree.
he's
I
if
agree that the Super Bowl a bust.
yeah,
This year is a bust if they don't go.
yeah,
This
right.
year is a bust if they don't go.
Yeah, and next year, and
And
next year, and the year after, if they don't go, it's a bust.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I
Yeah,
agree with that.
yeah. So
Okay, so the exciting game: Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Derek Carr, Joe Burrow. Um, your thoughts? Your thoughts?
Well, look, I've been hanging on this narrative for so long with the Bengals, and they can't win in the playoffs when they get there, and I've been, defending Marvin Lewis, and to this day I still defend Marvin Lewis because he did change that franchise around when he got there years ago. But I gotta give the Bengals, props for winning the first playoff game. But in regard,
Define. Can I?
go ahead,
Can
go
I? I'm
ahead.
sorry to cut you off, but I want to challenge you on that. When you say Marvin Lewis changed the culture of the Cincinnati Bengals,
Hmm.
I don't know if I agree with that.
So maybe culture is the wrong word. Maybe
Because they still, I
they
mean,
started
let's be
winning. They were
clear.
winning. They started winning regular season games because the
Well, I said
Bengals.
they were winning a little more, but the record still
I don't know if it's a little
stood.
more. I don't know if it's a little more when you
They
compare
hadn't
to
won a
what the
playoff
Bengals
game in
were in the
31 years.
'90s.
So they became a little bit more competitive, but they still hadn't won a playoff game in 31 years. That
They
went
still
through
right. They still
Marvin
hadn't.
Lewis's.
Correct. They still hadn't won a playoff game in 30 something years. But I think when you compare the 90s Bengals, which was basically, a dumpster fire of a franchise, to when he got there in '03, and, drafted Carson Palmer, and then Chad and TJ and Rudy and all those guys were there. They became a much more winning franchise. I mean, even the Andy Dalton years, they went to the playoffs with 5 straight seasons. Like that.
But then they went back to being but then they kind of still went back to being trash.
After that, yes, they did. They certainly did. And Marvin Lewis was there for maybe 3 of those final seasons. Before he got let go.
And let's be clear, there was a big, maybe 5-year protest of getting Marvin Lewis fired. Being uprooted by Stephen A. Smith.
Of course, yeah. And look, if I owned a team, I might have got rid of them earlier than when they actually did. If I owned a team, but I think if you take the Marvin Lewis era in totality and compare it to the '90s Bengals, I still think it's night and day. Now, they didn't win playoff games. And I was real critical, and I was real critical about that. They didn't win playoff games, but
it's hard for me. It's hard for me to defend Marvin Lewis in the respect that they still didn't win a playoff game, and not only did they not win a playoff. And not only did they not win a playoff game, like you was correcting me on Twitter. They lost to Matt Schaub. They lost to
TJ Yates.
TJ Yates and all these other no-name quarterbacks. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, they lost to what we consider to be not good quarterbacks, and I get it's not just the quarterback, it's a team, but they
But even when you look at the teams,
they laid eggs.
Right, and even when you look at the teams that they lost to in the playoffs, aside from the Steeler team that made the run in 05, none of them other teams they played got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They might not even. I think they might not even made it to the next. Made it out of the divisional round of them.
Right, exactly. The Texans never made it. Them never made it further after that. I'm trying to think.
I think the Jets
year.
did. I think the Jets did.
The Jets did. Yes, the Jets did.
Yeah.
I think the Colts did in 14, and I'm trying to think the team they played in between that. The Chargers. The Chargers didn't make it past the divisional the year before that. So yeah, it's not like they were losing to potential Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, it's just hard for me. I don't want to stretch it because I know we got to actually talk about the game. It's hard for me to credit Marvin Lewis, and I get you saying they had a better regular season record in the 2000s than they did in the 90s. That's facts. I'm not denying that.
Yeah,
but
no playoff appearances in the 90s at all. I think they went 15 years without any postseason.
Yeah. But it's like at this point, when you have the Ocho Cincos, or Chad Johnsons and the Hushmanzadas with Carson Palmers and Rudy Johnsons, like when you have that kind of team and lose to a Texans, or even if you want to go
the Jets,
AJ Green, even if you want to go AJ Green, Andy Dalton with
Gio Bernard,
the running back, even if you want to go there, like those are teams that you look at on paper and you watch them in the regular season, and they should have at least gotten a playoff win. Right. And for whatever reason they didn't.
The game against y'all, the game where Burfict hit Antonio Brown, that was a game they had won. Yeah. After the turnover by Roethlisberger, that was a game they had won. Yeah. And then I forget the running back, Jeremy Hill. Fumbles while trying to close the game out, and then we know what happened after that. So
it's just hard for me to give him. I mean, if we're giving out regular season trophies, cool. It's hard for me to defend Marvin Lewis's career in Cincinnati. After all that,
right? But only in the conversation if we're comparing it to the '90s Bengals. But if we're not, if we're leaving
for me to do it.
But if we're leaving the 90s Bengals out of it, then Marvin Lewis's tenure in Cincinnati, while it was a lengthy one for a black coach, he underachieved with those two particular teams. He underachieved.
And then here's the other part of the '90s that is, that I can't name me. Who was the franchise quarterback in the '90s? They had two, at least that they thought would be franchise quarterbacks, and Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton in the 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah,
I don't know who was the quarterback. Yeah, so
I don't know.
it's.
But I think that could prove it on both sides, though. I think what you're saying right there, I think proves on both points that those teams should have been winning playoff games, one, and two, that those teams were so much better than those '90s regular teams. I mean, it was night and day. I mean, like you said, we don't know who the quarterback is.
Roster. My point is that it was about in the '90s. It was about roster and dare I challenge that have the Cincinnati Bengals have a better roster in the '90s, have a better, I'm saying, that though whoever those coaches were, I don't remember those coaches in the '90s. Whoever those coaches were may have had a better run in the '90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a fact. I'm gonna do some Google searching now because I'm interested to see who was coaching that team during that time. But yeah, to the game.
But to the game, Jamar Chase is, if you didn't know, if you needed to be convinced, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are the truth. I remember when Jamar Chase got drafted, and I'm like, yep, that's exactly what they needed. He needed to get somebody that he was familiar with. Yeah. And it didn't take a second. It clicked. Defense is, it's not one of the best defense. It's not the best defense. It's just a good enough defense that'll keep the offense, flowing. Right. I could see this team in the finals, in the AFC championship. I could see that. It just is what it is. That quarterback receiver duo, and along with the other two receivers, I mean, outside of the Cowboys, I'm confident that's the best receiver core in the NFL.
Yeah, and I don't want to pick this game this Saturday because I could care less for either the Titans or the Bengals. But I mean, if you're putting a gun to my head,
the Bengals.
Yeah, I think the Bengals.
Unless Derrick Henry magically come. Unless Derrick Henry magically playing, I don't even know how he
really gonna play. I mean, he hasn't played in a couple months now. I don't even know how he's gonna look come Saturday. So I'm not even banking
Derrick
on that.
Henry. But if it was the rumors have been going on that he'd be ready for the playoffs. If emphatically there's something happens tomorrow that Derrick Henry's going to play, then honestly I change my pick. But if that doesn't happen, I don't see how Tennessee got a shot against Cincinnati. I don't see how they got a shot. I ain't talking about a blowout, but I'm talking about a decisive win over Temple.
Sure. Like you control. I mean, the score might not indicate a blowout, but if you're controlling the game throughout, then yeah. I could see Cincinnati. I could see Cincinnati beating the Titans.
I definitely thought Josh Jacobs was going to break one, and then late in the Josh Jacobs was cooking. In that
he was
second
heating
half,
up in the second half.
And I thought he was going to break one for sure. That was going to open that game up, but it just never came. But it's just that thing, man. Joe Burrow, and at this stage of his career, I think this ain't a hot take. Joe Burrow's better than David Carr right now. Derek Carr right now, I mean.
Yeah. I don't even think
right now. And Derek Carr is nice. No, I don't want to dare. Derek Carr is nice. I'm done with that. Maybe he's nice, but he ain't. But Joe Burrow is that thing right now.
I don't think I've ever had Derek Carr better than Joe Burrow. Even when Joe Burrow got drafted last year, I don't think I ever had Derek Carr better than him.
Well, I wouldn't do that before Joe Burrow played a game, but we got a sample. We got enough. Joe Burrow is that dude right now. Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow is a top 5 in the AFC right now for certain. Certain.
Yeah. No question. Again, it pains me to say it, but it like you said, it is what it is.
I mean, look, I go hot take right here. He definitely better than Lamar Jackson.
Right now, yeah, I'd have to say right now.
Better than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. I'd have to say
he's
right
the best.
now.
He's certainly the best in our division. He's certainly the best in our division.
I was just about to say best quarterback in the AFC North, and damn it pays me to say it. But It
Yeah.
is what it is. So, your thoughts on the blown whistle in the second half or in the second quarter on the touchdown?
Um, they they shouldn't have blown the whistle, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
So that play should have been dead, shouldn't have been a touchdown. But they did attempt to. They did give him a makeup call in the fourth quarter with that roughing the passer call. So in my book, all
Mm-hmm.
even, all well that ends well, because that was not a roughing the passer. It shouldn't have been called.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kept Las Vegas in the game because of that bullshit call.
Yeah.
So even
Yeah,
two
I
bad
agree.
calls, even.
I agree. Vegas had every opportunity to actually steal this game for real.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think if he would have scored the touchdown on that final play of the game and go into overtime, I think the Raiders would have won it in overtime right
Mhm.
there. Because
Mhm.
they were just hot right. They was just hot right there. I know they had a couple of calls go their way along that drive, but yeah, I think if that game went to overtime, the Raiders was going to find a way to pull that one out. So,
Yeah, that roughing the passer call was some bullshit. But
mm-hmm.
like I said, they kind of gave it back to him for allowing that touchdown to happen. That that out of bounds play with Joe Burrow. So
So I got a little bit of office talk here for you too. So, I heard this comment on Sunday. I heard this comment Sunday. Derek Carr's not a winner. I think we've seen enough of Derek Carr. Um, he's just not a winner. This was his first playoff game, and he's not a guy that can take you to a Super Bowl. Your
well,
thoughts?
disagree. Disagree. He would have been in a playoff game had he not been injured that 12-4 year.
Yep.
But he got injured, so it's not he didn't play a game because he wasn't able to play. He wasn't in position to play a game. It's because he wasn't physically able to play a game.
Right.
Derek Carr. I mean, look, trust me. I don't think Derek Carr is. Um, I think he's right outside of the top 10. Give me 11 to 15 when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL, maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a maybe. Um, but he is a franchise quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. There's in my book there's no denying it. He's just not he's just not Josh Allen. He's just not those guys. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But he's a
Right.
franchise quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and we can't act like we didn't bury the Raiders 5, 6 weeks ago when I forget the record. I think they might have been 6-7, and we buried them because it was so much to deal with the rug
Yeah.
stuff, with the Arnett
Yeah.
video, with John Gruden saying racist stuff in the email, and they had to boot the coach out, and the fact that they won four straight, right? Like I think we forget they won four straight games. They beat the Colts in that run, a team that we said should have been a playoff team, and they went into Indianapolis and beat the Colts on their way to getting into the playoffs. That was Derek Carr. I mean, yes, the Josh Jacobs and those other guys. That was Derek Carr without
I think
Darren
they
Waller.
are.
To keep in mind, Darren Waller
I think
was
they're
out.
number one receiver away. I think they're number one receiver away.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But to just kind of emphasize the point, Darren Waller was missing for about 6 weeks, the final
Yeah.
6 weeks
Mhm.
before
Yep.
he played in the playoff game. Derek Carr willed that team to the playoffs. So
I
I
agree.
wouldn't I wouldn't just say, oh, he's not a winner or he's not a guy that can't take you to a Super Bowl. Nah, I don't agree with that. I
Yeah, I
think
think
it's
I
just
like.
I think it's just
I
people
agree.
being a prisoner of the moment.
But I mean, but still, I mean, being a prisoner of the moment. Let's be clear. He in the last sequence of that game, he got them up into the red zone.
Yep.
Now he threw some bullshit throws. Them last two throws.
Mm-hmm.
With the one where Jesse Bates almost got it, and then
Yep.
the eventual interception.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that was a good. He got them up there, and obviously some penalties happened.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Excuse me. Some penalties happened, but He got him up there. He got him in position to win the game. And for all intents and purposes, for the majority of this year, he's had them in position to win games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
I think it's six comeback wins this year for him.
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah. And again, beat teams that were supposed to be in the playoffs. The Chargers were supposed to be in the playoffs. The Colts were supposed to be in the playoffs. He beat both those teams to get there.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Ahead,
I think we got all the games, right? No, I was making sure we got all the games before I got into the thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay. Let me say what up to Kesey in the Facebook live chat. Appreciate
What's
you,
happening?
Kesey. I don't think there's really nothing to talk about with Tampa and the Philly game. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I fell asleep, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. It was. I can't even remember what the score was.
It was ass whipping.
It was, but I think if I got one complaint, I'll make this short. I got one complaint about the Eagles, and Jalen Hurts has had a nice year, a nice sophomore year from last year, but I think these coaches are dumb, bruh, for Philadelphia. I think these coaches, I don't know how if Devontae Smith is your number one. Why are you not targeting this dude in the first half? He had one target in the first half. And then the plays that they were running, particularly in the second quarter, they're trying to run screens, and every screen they ran got blown up. And it's like, y'all, the screen game ain't popping right now. You got to go vertical right now. The run game, they pulling out all the stops. They loading the box. They're not letting Miles Sanders do anything. You're going to have to make Jalen Hurts throw the football. And they kept throwing these out joints, these horizontal balls. And it's like, like none of that stuff was working. So that's my only complaint about the Eagles and the coaching staff.
And not to cause what you call it, go down a road here. I forget the damn term. What's the term when you going down
a rabbit hole? You don't want to go down the rabbit
hole. There we go. Not to go down the rabbit hole. I already saw, sports outlets saying that the Eagles should be looking for a quarterback. I already saw it today.
Yeah, that frustrates me too. But everybody keeps bringing up, well, Aaron Rodgers could be on the move. Russell Wilson could be on the move.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson could be on the move. And if you're Philly, if you get one of those three guys, I understand. If it's one of those three guys, I understand. But
what if it's Jimmy Garoppolo? I'm just throwing the questions out there.
No, because look, if you've watched what San Francisco did with the draft, and they got Trey Lance, and I don't think we mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but Jimmy Garoppolo almost blew that game for them in the fourth quarter with the interception and Dallas, making the comeback there. But that's probably why Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to be with the Niners next year. I think they're going to transition to Trey Lance. If you're the Eagles, why would you want to go down that road if you already see what San Francisco's trying to do with a quarterback that is almost similar to the style of quarterback that you guys have? Like I don't think that the Garoppolo, them looking for. I think they realize they paid too much money for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I think. I don't think that they felt like his. Yeah.
I don't think they felt like his performance was so bad that they needed to draft the quarterback to get rid of him because of his performance. I think they realized we paid a lot of money for this quarterback and he's not going to get us to Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why not go get somebody get somebody young, pay him cheaper, put more around them, and try and go about our Super Bowl situation like that. Like, not to pull out a can of worms, i.e. Colin Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? You get a young guy and let him run amok around the league and build around that and we'd rather go that route than with the quote unquote high priced quarterback that's going to take us to the promised land. Because Jimmy Garoppolo isn't that quarterback, even though he was portrayed that way when he got that with his 6 games
Yeah.
in New England, and he was portrayed that way, which is why he was
Yep.
paid the way he was in San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more about that. But you get if the Eagles, if you can get Jimmy Garoppolo at, let's say, I guess we in the 30 millions now. So if you can get him at 20 million a year, 16
Now you
million,
know what
20
that
million a
means,
year.
and I don't mean to cut you off. Now you know what that
Sure.
means. They would have to cut Jimmy Garoppolo because if you're trading him, then you're taking that salary on.
Taking on the contract. Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Yep. But then the other part of it is that if I don't know how many years he has left in his contract, but I remember when he was signed, I know it wasn't more than 4 years.
I thought it was 5, but
You
we
thought it
can
was
fact
5?
check that.
Okay.
I thought it was
Well,
5.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if it was less than 4 years, then he's about to be, if not out of it, almost out of it. Maybe the yearly is.
Yeah, if he's not out of it now, then I think he's got
He's
1
on
year
the
left.
last leg of it, and
Yep.
that's probably not as expensive as having him at 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
So I'm not saying that would be something that Philly should do, but I would say that if I'm right in what his contract looked like,
Yeah.
I would understand if they looked at that.
Mm-hmm. I think if they look at it, then I think that's not their first option. I think they're looking
Sure.
at Russ, they're looking at Aaron, they're looking at
Sure.
Deshaun Watson first before they consider a Garoppolo trade. And they got the assets
and then
too.
but then that's a matter of how do you feel about, like, what's your team philosophy? Do you want to
Yeah.
build? Do you want the guy that's going to take you to the promised land, or the guy that's competent but you put a team around him? That type of thing. So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so that's all about what they're looking at it. I mean, it seems like based on how they, them drafting Hurst, drafting Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, like it looks like they're trying to build a team. So I understand that bringing in a free agent quarterback is probably not what they want to do.
3 first-round picks.
First
for
round
the
picks,
Eagles.
yeah.
So
I would
they
draft.
got options.
Yeah,
They
I would definitely draft.
They could do some things there. And I don't know what Goddard's contract situation is, but if they go out and get a tight end with one of those picks, I wouldn't be mad at that. They certainly
I wouldn't be
gotta-
mad at it, but Goddard is a top 10 tight end, though. I wouldn't be mad at
Yeah,
it. But
yeah, I would
Goddard
agree
is a
with
top
that.
10.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree with that. Defensively, they definitely got to do something with the defense because there's some guys on there that are old up and getting up there, so they certainly got to do something there.
But I like their corners. I think pass rush is where they need to attack.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So,
So it's that time of year. Black Monday just passed recently, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vacancies. I would like to. I saw this on Twitter today.
yeah,
I got to credit boardroom.tv. And I would like to bring you into this conversation and get your opinion. There is this boardroom.tv put a list of black coaches available or that should be available this off season.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the list?
let's do it.
The list reads as follows. And I'll start with the guys who've been fired: David Culley, Brian Flores.
Yep.
And that's it for that list for the guys who's had a job.
Right.
Now this list gets interesting, and some are the obvious names: Byron Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy, Todd Bowles.
Yep.
Now here are the interesting names. I like your opinions on.
Okay.
I guess the
Is
best
Leslie Frazier
shot.
on that list?
Leslie Frazier is on this list.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously the Bills D coordinator. Pep Hamilton, who's the Texas quarterback coach,
Yep.
responsible for Andrew Luck, responsible for Herbert
Yep.
in some respects.
Yep.
Another interesting name is Gerard Mayo, who is the
Yes.
Patriots inside linebacker coach. I didn't
Yep.
realize he was coaching.
Yep. What about
I
D'Amico
forgot
Ryans?
he was not mentioned. They mentioned on this list,
D'Amico
so
Ryans
I
is
didn't
the D
have.
coordinator in San Francisco.
Yeah, he was not mentioned on this list, but
Hmm.
add him.
Okay.
Lovie Smith is the defensive coordinator for the Texans. Obviously, he got experience,
Right.
but it's kind of a name that you forgot about. Another name that I forgot about was Raheem Morris.
Yes. I saw him.
He's the
What
Rams
game?
defensive
The
coordinator
Rams.
right now.
Rams. That's right. That's
He
right.
is the
Yep.
Rams defensive coordinator right now.
Yep.
Um, just throwing it out there. I'm not gonna lie to you, Raheem Morris, and I know he had his short stint in Atlanta where he wasn't too
He was
good.
the interim, I think.
Uh, the interim,
Yep.
yeah, and but that name, that Raheem Morris stuck out to me. Obviously Leslie Frazier, but Raheem Morris, who sticks out for you? I was, besides the obvious.
Uh, I'm gonna be honest, bruh. They all stick out to me, bruh. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, some of the ones that have yet to be head coaches, those ones stick out because me personally, I want to see those guys get their first opportunities. The D'Amico Ryans, the Byron Leftwiches, the Eric Bieniemys of the world, the D'Amico Ryans. I think I said his name. Gerard Mayo.
Yeah.
I'd like to see those guys who would be first time head coaches get head coaching jobs.
Okay.
I wouldn't
I'm
mind, given that most of these white coaches get second chances around the league, and I've heard Doug Peterson's name being mentioned. I wouldn't. I would be okay if Doug Peterson got a job elsewhere. That
mm,
wouldn't bother me. But if it's some of these other guys like Bill O'Brien, like no, Bill O'Brien, he can go back to wherever. I think he's in college right now, but I don't want Bill
okay.
O'Brien back in the NFL. Some of those guys, Eric Mangini, I don't want to see those guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've had their time, but there's one name that you didn't mention on that list that I would like to see get a third chance at a head coaching job, and he's had success everywhere he's been to. Jim Caldwell.
Jim Caldwell. Yep.
Yeah, I would like
Yep.
to see him get an opportunity. He worked with Matthew
Yep.
Stafford in Detroit. He worked with Joe Flacco when he was the coordinator here for us for a couple of years. Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts at the
Yep.
end of Peyton's run. He's got a pretty good resume. I would like to see Jim Caldwell get a third shot at it.
Would you like to see Marvin Lewis, who has been rumored of trying to get back into the NFL? Would you want to see Marvin Lewis?
I would want to see Marvin Lewis again.
You would. Okay.
Yep.
This is just a black thing. Who is
Yeah,
the least on this list? Who is the least on this list that you would want to see?
the least there isn't
The
any.
least.
There
There
really
isn't
isn't.
any.
No.
I respect that. I respect
Nah.
that comment. I respect that
Leslie
comment.
Frazier. I mean, Leslie Frazier had a chance. I wouldn't mind seeing him get a second chance elsewhere. I thought he did okay in Minnesota, but the
What
Vikings as a franchise, they were kind of up and down. At the time he
What's
was there.
David
So,
Culley's history? What was David Culley's history before he got the job this past year?
well, David Culley was on our staff on the Ravens. He
Okay.
was running backs coach, I think. I could be wrong about that. Someone correct me, but
Okay.
he was on the Ravens staff. And,
Okay.
and let's be clear, David Culley got a raw deal
One hundred
with the
percent. 100
Texans.
percent.
Like
One
that,
hundred
I
percent.
mean, the fact that they waited a day to even say, okay, we're deciding we're not gonna, have you here no longer. Like, I mean, from the moment he stepped in the door, he was already out the door.
He
You,
was
you
all
know what I'm
out the
saying?
door. Right.
With
Yeah.
with the situation
Yeah.
there and Deshaun Watson and the case and who the quarterback was and the trades that Bill O'Brien made in the previous regime. Yeah, he,
Yeah.
he, he was gone before he even got in there, bro. Like
The
that's
only
just
the only guy I would say is a little early for me is Gerard Mayo.
Okay.
I, it's a little early for Gerard Mayo. I
Okay.
will say in respects, I wouldn't be mad if he got the job. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I wouldn't be mad at it if he got
Yeah,
a
I
job
wouldn't
at
be
all. I
upset
wouldn't
with
be
it,
mad.
especially since
But I
guys
would
like
say
Nick
it's a little too
Sirianni,
early.
who I never heard
Exactly,
of,
exactly.
it was too early
Yeah,
for him.
exactly.
You know what I'm
If
saying?
Matt, yeah, it was clearly too early for Joe Judge. It was clearly too early for Matt Rule, even though he still got a job right now.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those types of things, but that's a little too early. Pep Hamilton, I would not be mad at him getting a job this year.
Hmm.
He's responsible for too many quarterbacks in his early. You know what I'm saying? He came in 2012 with Andrew Luck, made
Right.
Andrew Luck a good quarterback in the NFL. Went on to make Justin Herbert a good quarterback in the NFL.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying David Mills is a good
Davis
quarterback
Mills.
yet. He ain't a good quarterback yet, but he
Hmm.
damn sure had some performances this year that I would like to think Pep Hamilton had a hand in because he's specifically the quarterback coach in Houston.
Right. I'll just say Davis Mills is cheap. I'll say that, and I don't mean cheap as in he don't spend money. I'm saying the what he's getting paid by the Texans is cheap. So
No,
if the
I'm also
Texans
saying
decided, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm also saying in respects to him playing, having good games, and him seeing that thing
Mm-hmm.
that could be a good quarterback. I
Mm-hmm.
like to think that Pep Hamilton has something to do with that. So if
Yeah.
you telling me Pep Hamilton went to Chicago with a
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields,
Right.
I'm in for that.
Right. So let me ask you a question because I asked the same question on Twitter Spaces the other day, and let me first give a shout out to Jeff Fox, Vince Wright, who kind of conducted the Twitter Spaces conversation the other day, and I just happened to jump in, and the topic was black coaches in the NFL, and this was on the heels of David Culley being let go by the Texans, and everyone, we were all up in arms about, that situation and how it's just Mike Tomlin and it's nobody else in terms of black coaches in the NFL. So I asked this question in the chat, and I said, of all the openings right now, Vikings, Bears, Dolphins, Texans, Giants, the Raiders, if they somehow don't want to keep Rich Bisaccia, which I think they should, but that's still open. And oh, by the way, Mike Mayock is not there no more. They just let him go as the
Let him go.
GM.
Yep.
So, and I think I'm missing. Oh, Denver. Denver, I think is the other opening that's there. So,
Yep. Denver.
of
Yep.
the seven openings, which roster, in your opinion, is ready to win now? Of those seven,
Right now, Vikings. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not hard. Vikings.
yeah, I'm with you there.
If you're just looking at the roster,
Yeah, yeah, I'm with
yeah.
you.
If you just
It's the
yeah,
Vikings for me. It's the Vikings. Now
yeah.
other people express that maybe it's the Dolphins if Tua kind of works out and all that stuff. But I think the issue is with some of these teams they got to find general managers also too. So I
Yeah.
think when you get that general manager in, they're gonna want their own coach, and they might want their own quarterback too. So whatever quarterback is on these teams right now aren't 100% safe. Like I'm hearing stuff from Minnesota. Kirk Cousins, he's on the contract, but whoever they hire, they might not want to deal with Cousins in terms of who the GM
Um.
might be, in terms of who the coach
Sure.
might be. They might
Sure.
just say, hey, you know what? We like what's the kid, Kellen Mond, who they drafted in the previous draft, the black kid.
Mhm. Mhm.
They might look at him and say, hey, you know what? Let's just go inexpensive here with the quarterback spot. Let's put the resources to what we've been paying Cousins elsewhere on the roster, build the entire
Well.
roster up, and do that. You never know if they. What
Yeah.
do I think
Sure.
they do it? Do I think they do it? No, I don't think they do it. But it's just a
Yeah.
thought.
Well, what is, and I guess I'm not the best person to ask. Like I look at that Vikings team. And I guess I got to focus more offensively because I'm not super hip to their defense. They got a number one receiver in Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
They got a number two that could be a number one in Adam Thielen. Their
Mm-hmm.
tight ends in Conwell and Irv Smith. That's not a bad tight end tandem. Obviously they
Right.
got Dalvin Cook. They got Madison. I guess the
Offensive
offensive
line,
line
I
isn't
think, needs to
terrible.
work. They need some work on the offensive
Yeah.
line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All that to say is just roster wise, they are better. Maybe by strides, they are better than all of these other teams just on paper.
I agree with that.
Just on paper.
I totally
Yeah.
agree with
So
that.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine somebody wanting to break this team up. Not right now. I can't fathom a GM walking in, looking at this team, and saying this ain't. Obviously they need improvements, but I can't see nobody doing nothing major with this
Yeah.
team. Not even at quarterback.
Because what was the problem with the Vikings? For me, it was strong starts by the offense, and later in games couldn't hold leads. And then when the offense was needed to, make a comeback or close a game out, in most cases they couldn't do it. So how do you fix that? You get rid of Mike Zimmer.
Is that defense?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like defense to me, though.
You said it doesn't sound like defense?
I said it kind of sounds like defense to me.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's where I was getting at. I think I mean, they obviously let go with Zimmer. I think if you get an offensive coach in there, I think they'll be able to better close games out, along with getting some players on the defensive end to help out. I think that Vikings team is right back in the playoff picture next year. I don't think they got to do much. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think they gotta do much. I agree with you. They don't have to do much. I think whoever you bring in, I mean, as much as maybe Pat Hamilton is good and with Kirk Cousins, maybe he corrects some of those Kirk Cousins issues that I know a lot of Minnesota fans like to talk about.
Right.
But if you're asking me, and I'm not a Vikings insider by no stretch of the imagination, it looks like defensive problems to me. They don't look like they had much problem scoring. Don't look like their offense. I mean, I can only look at what they did against Pittsburgh, and I know Pittsburgh wasn't the best defense or isn't the best defense this year. Look, they held us up. They held us up pretty good, and we are one of the better pass rushing teams in the league. They held up against us pretty well.
Yeah. Well, let's remember too. I mean, Dalvin Cook. I mean, and again, he doesn't need, open holes. Dalvin Cook is good without open holes, but that particular game, there was just open holes everywhere.
Yeah. and to be clear, everybody ran on us this year, so it's
Yeah. So, but as much as I would love for the majority of these open jobs to be filled by black coaches, I also understand why people would jump to the conclusion to say, hey, I don't like him in this situation. Like we know the Texans the Texans could be a terrible spot for someone. But at the end of the day, if it's a first time black head coach, then I can't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying?
You can't be mad at it. You can't be mad at it because
I can't be mad at it.
It's like, what do you expect? What do you expect? In order for a coach to get in, a coach got to be fired, and for a coach to be fired, the team ideally is going to be bad.
Right.
So
right.
I used to think that way. I used to think that way too. Like, damn, you put him in a tough situation. Yeah, more times than not, you're going to be put in a tough situation unless a coach retires. Something like that. More times than not, you're going to be put in a tough situation. So look, you better take the opportunity you're given as a coach, as a black coach specifically. You better take the opportunity you're given. And that just is what that is.
Right. Another question for you. you're the Pittsburgh guy here. So I brought this up in the Twitter Spaces convo also the other day. And you tell me if I'm right, wrong, or misinformed. But I've never heard people, whether it's media, whether it's radio, people that, former NFL GMs and owners and people that cover the league, I've never heard people refer to quote unquote Mike Tomlin's coaching tree. In the 15 years he's coached, I've never heard that term, right?
Didn't have one.
But you hear it from, you hear the Andy Reid tree, you hear the Bill Belichick tree, all these other coaches that have had, like even what's the dude with the Rams, Sean McVay. They saying Sean McVay got a coaching tree because LaFleur came from the Rams to coach Green Bay, and I'm like, wait, wait a minute, like you giving these coaches that have only coached 5-6 years coaching trees, but Tom has been coaching a dude that's never had a losing season in his 15 years coaching, but yet y'all don't ever refer to his coaching tree.
Well, that's a simple answer. I think the only guy who actually left and went on, and I don't know the answer to. I don't know the answer 100%. Mike Munchak left and he went
to the Titans, right?
Titans. That offensive line was good. That offensive line is good, even with him being gone. He is now in. I just heard where he was. He was in Denver, I believe it was. And because I saw somebody talking about, well, now that Fangio's out, maybe Munchak will be out, and maybe he can come back to Pittsburgh. But let's be clear, and I don't know, I don't pretend to know the staff up and down. I mean, the good coaches that I know, Richard Mann, who got sick, and I if I'm not mistaken, wide receiver coach passed away. Obviously Dick LeBeau is not a part of a Tomlin coaching tree, but he was the guy that was there.
Right. Haley is not a part of that coaching tree because Haley came from somewhere else. Yep.
Right. You know what I'm saying? There's like the short answer is that Tomlin, for majority of his career, hired experienced guys. Up until recent with Keith Butler and Matt Canada and the guy before Randy Fichtner. So I mean, it was kind of like, all right, I've been here. I got these guys who've been in my system. Let me just bring them up. We was bringing guys up who had lesser positions and they never had the opportunity to go out into the world. To add to that, if Keith Butler is fired this or retires or whatever the conversation is, I don't think he's going to another team. Not as a coach. If Matt Canada is fired, which I wouldn't be mad at, I don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. I think he might be lucky that he might get downgraded if he gets another job if he's fired from Pittsburgh, because nobody was happy with that. And then those guys, the Terrell Austins, who was probably going to get upgraded to defensive coordinator if Keith Butler goes. You know what I'm saying? We bring our people up type of team. It seems with Tomlin being there. So that I think that's the conversation about a coaching tree. I don't think that and I guess to put a button on it, I don't think anybody in the position coaching has coached well enough to get interest from other teams.
Because I used to think that was by design, right? Like thinking they're not mentioning his tree because he's a black coach and they don't want to prop up the black coach to look intelligent, to that kind of a thing. Like I used to think that was just by design, by the media, by NFL people, and things like that.
No, I think this would be the one time where the media isn't shitting on a black man. I don't think he has a coaching tree to speak of.
Gotcha. Yeah, because again, I I don't like Pittsburgh, and I love beating Tomlin every chance I get. But I mean, the man's
What
never
hasn't
had.
happened in four straight?
Okay. I ain't talking about that, man.
All right. If you don't want, all right.
But yeah, every chance I get, I love to beat the guy. But you got to respect the fact that the dude is going to the Hall of Fame at some point in
Yeah,
his career
and
as a
he
head coach.
and he's a top five in the league right now. I don't care what
Yeah.
nobody say.
So
Don't
yeah, I don't
care
think,
about
and I
none of
don't
that
even think
playing
that's
down.
crazy. I don't think that's a
Yeah.
crazy. I
No, some
mean,
people think that's crazy. Some people think that's crazy. I
uh,
forget the guy that we used to talk to a lot who was never high on Tomlin. Reggie
dollars
Lawrence.
and cents,
Reg,
dollars and cents.
yeah, he was never high on Tomlin, and and I'm not even disclaiming his like he got a reason to feel the way he feel,
Right,
but in the midst of all his conversation, I still think Tomlin is a top five coach.
right.
I mean, hell, I would make an argument for top three. I know some people wouldn't necessarily go there with me, but I would make the argument.
Yeah, I wouldn't go there. Top
Yeah,
five, top five. I wouldn't go top
yeah.
three. But yeah, I used to always wonder that because everybody talks about the other guys' coaching tree, and it's like, wait, well, Tom has been in the league for so long, but I never hear anybody talk about his coaching tree. Like, why's that? So,
I
um,
mean, to be honest, I haven't heard much conversation about a Sean McVay. That was the first time when you just said it was the first time I've
yeah,
ever heard of a Sean McVay coaching tree.
yeah. Like every time they refer to Matt LaFleur, they always say, "Oh, he came from Sean McVay." Like they came from
Yeah,
Sean McVay's coaching tree.
I get that he came from there, but I never heard Matt LaFleur and Sean McVay coaching tree in the same conversation. But
Yeah,
there you go.
right, right, right. Um, so before we wrap up, let's get to these games, man. 4 games this weekend. So are we both on the Bengals side here? They're gonna beat the
Yep,
Titans Saturday.
yep,
All right,
yep.
all right. What about what's the night game that night? Oh, the Niners and Green Bay. I'm on Green Bay's side on this one.
I'm on. Yeah, I gotta go. Green Bay is my Super Bowl pick, and
Yeah, yeah,
Green Bay.
yeah. That too. But I honestly think that they're gonna run San Fran up out of there. And they possibly not gonna have Bosa in the lineup, and they're not gonna have the other
Yeah,
guy, Fred Warner, got hurt
Fred
too.
Warner. Yeah,
So
and Fred Warner. Yeah, that's a key.
yep, yep, for certain. So Sunday's game, Rams at the Bucks. Tell you what,
I got
man.
the Rams.
Yeah, me too.
I
Me
got the
too.
Rams.
I think that, and nobody's talked about this, but this is the one team that this Bucks team with Brady has had a problem with the past couple years, and I think it shows itself again, and especially no Godwin, no Fournette, no Ronald Jones, and no Antonio Brown. This is a lesser version of the Bucks team than what the Rams played earlier this year. So, um,
And let's stop playing this. Let's stop. The Rams put together this super team,
yep,
and that's what this team is. They put it
yep,
together for this situation,
hmm
for this kind of situation to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who at least on paper, the earlier before injuries and everything happened in the season,
right,
was
right,
a super team. Was a super team on paper.
yep,
They juiced their team up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on paper aren't what they used to, roster wise aren't who they were coming into the season. I got the Rams going in.
yes, sir.
And to add to it, not
hmm
enough. I saw this and didn't think about it until I saw it. We got to shout out Cam Akers who played last week, and had a good game coming off an ACL injury
Yeah,
that happened in this season. And he came back and played and had like 94 all-purpose yards or something like that. So
right.
shout out to Cam Akers.
Yeah, facts, facts. And speaking of Cam Akers, because he was involved with the Buda Baker injury last night. Shout out Buda Baker.
Yeah, for
Got
sure.
out the hospital this morning, so everything's all good with him. So, there's that. And the last game, we got the Bills at the Chiefs, which is the rematch of last year's title game. Um, I think it stops here for the Bills. And plus, the Chiefs are my Super Bowl pick anyway. So I got to stick with the Chiefs here.
I agree with you 100%. I was told that I need to stop sleeping on Buffalo. I was told that today, but hey man,
I don't
it's
think you've
Patrick
been sleeping
Mahomes,
on him.
bruh.
I don't think you've been sleeping on him.
I don't think so either, but it's Patrick Mahomes, bruh. I'm not picking Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes. I'm not doing it. Not
Yeah,
doing it.
I'm not gonna be a prisoner of the moment because of what they did to the Patriots. But I will acknowledge though the Buffalo defense is top two, and the offense, that offense can go.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Mahomes makes an extra couple more plays, and they go back to the conference title game. And
Yep.
and it's weird. I said it a couple weeks ago when Microwave was on here with me. I said, man, after that Bengals and Chiefs game, I said, man, you think this is a AFC Championship preview that we just saw? And he was like, no. And
Mhm.
it's probably gonna be that. it's
Yep.
looking like it's
Yep.
gonna be that. So
And it looked like you're gonna, and by our predictions, it looks like you're gonna get the Mahomes Aaron Rodgers game you've been wanting for however many years.
like 2-3 years now, bro. I think the
Yeah.
league has been looking for it more than the
Yeah.
fans. The league been looking for it.
Mm. Yeah.
That's why they put the schedule out the way they did for this year for the 17 game season, and they still couldn't get it. So they're
Yeah.
gonna find a way to get it one way or another. Before Aaron Rodgers somehow rides off into the sunset, they're gonna get that matchup in at some point, COVID or no COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I'm with you.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to all of the people in the Facebook live chat. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate the support. Just continue to follow us on social media here, on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. Also on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. You can find this episode on all streaming platforms as well as past episodes. Also on the Facebook page, continue to, watch us on Facebook Live. Click that like button. Also, you can check us out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you got any questions or comments, you can hit us up on the email at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. So that's it for the show. Any final words, my brother?
Hey man, see you next week.
Yep, that's it, folks. We'll see you next week. We'll go over the games, and then we'll get into these title games. So, peace.
Love.
Recording stopped.